Hello guys, how are you doing today? Welcome back to Learn English Zone. Today we bring you another beautiful English story, The Secret Garden. This story is simple, clear, and perfect for beginners to practice English listening, reading, and vocabulary. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the magic of English through storytelling. Part 1. The New House. It was a bright morning when Daniel and his family moved into their new house. The house was old, with tall windows and red bricks. Daniel looked around and whispered, "This place feels different, almost like it has secrets." Behind the house, there was a small wooden gate. It was locked, and vines covered it. Daniel touched the gate and smiled. "What's behind here?" he thought. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the gate. Maybe it was just an old garden, or maybe it was something more. The adventure was waiting. Part 2. The Locked Gate. The next day, Daniel walked around the backyard again. The small wooden gate looked even more mysterious in the sunlight. He tried pulling the handle. Click. Locked. Daniel whispered, "There must be a key somewhere." He searched near the flowers, under the stones, even around the old shed. Nothing. Suddenly, an old neighbor walked by. She smiled and said, "Ah, that gate. It hasn't been opened in many, many years." Daniel's eyes grew wide. "Why not?" he asked. The neighbor shook her head and whispered, "Because no one remembers where the key is." Daniel felt his heart race. A hidden key, a forgotten garden, a secret waiting to be found. That night, Daniel made a promise to himself. "I will find the key, and I will open that gate." Part 3. The Hidden Key. The next afternoon, Daniel started his search again. He looked inside the old shed. There were boxes, broken tools, and spider webs. He moved a dusty box and saw something shiny under it. It was a small, rusty key. Daniel picked it up and whispered, "Could this be the one?" He ran to the wooden gate, heart beating fast. He pushed the key into the lock. It turned slowly. Click. The lock opened. Daniel pulled the gate. At first, it was heavy with vines. Then it creaked open, little by little. Behind the gate was a garden, wild, quiet, and full of tall grass. Flowers had grown everywhere, and the air smelled sweet. Daniel's eyes sparkled. "I found it! The secret garden." Part 4. First steps inside. Daniel stepped carefully into the secret garden. The grass was tall, almost touching his knees. Birds flew from one tree to another, singing softly. He looked around in wonder. There were roses climbing the walls, daisies covering the ground, and a small stone path hidden under the leaves. Daniel whispered, "It feels like a dream." He followed the stone path. It led him to the center of the garden, where he saw an old wooden bench. It was broken, but he could still sit on it. He sat down and closed his eyes. The garden was quiet. He could only hear the wind, the birds, and his own heartbeat. Daniel opened his eyes again. He thought, "This garden has been waiting for someone to bring it back to life." He made a decision. "I will take care of it. I will make it beautiful again." Part 5. Cleaning the Forgotten Garden. The next morning, Daniel returned to the secret garden. He brought a small backpack with him. Inside he had a pair of gloves, a little shovel, a bottle of water. The garden looked wild. The grass was too long, and many dry leaves were everywhere. Daniel put on his gloves and began to work. First, he pulled out the weeds. Then, he picked up the dry branches. Slowly, a little part of the garden looked clean again. While working, Daniel found something under the leaves. It was a tiny wooden box. He opened it carefully. Inside, there was an old key and a small piece of paper. The paper said, "To the one who finds this garden, take care of it, and it will take care of you." Daniel felt his heart beat faster. He whispered, "This garden really is special." Part 6. The Mystery of the Key. Daniel held the old key tightly in his hand. It was small, rusty, and a little heavy. He looked around the garden and whispered, "What does this key open?" He walked near the old stone wall. Then he noticed something. Behind a group of vines, there was a little wooden door. It was very old, almost hidden. Daniel's eyes grew wide. Maybe this key belongs here. He pushed away the vines and tried the key. At first, it didn't move. He tried again. Slowly. Click. The lock opened. Inside, there was a tiny storage room. It smelled of earth and wood. On the shelves, there were a few empty pots, a bag of old seeds, a rusty watering can. Daniel smiled. He held the bag of seeds in his hand and said, "This garden wants to live again, and I will help it." Part 7. Planting Hope. The next morning, Daniel woke up early. He ran to the garden with the small bag of seeds. The air was fresh, and the sun was soft. He opened the bag carefully. Inside were tiny seeds, some round, some flat. He didn't know what kind they were, but he felt excited. Daniel dug little holes in the soil with his hands. He placed a few seeds in each hole and gently covered them with earth. Then he found the old watering can in the small room. He filled it with water from the pump and poured it over the seeds. The soil turned dark and wet. Daniel whispered, "Grow strong, little seeds. This is your new home." Day after day, Daniel came back. He watered the soil, pulled out weeds, and watched carefully. One morning, he saw it, a tiny green sprout pushing out of the earth. His heart jumped with joy. "It's alive!" he shouted. Soon, more sprouts appeared. The garden was waking up again. Part 8. The garden lives again. Weeks passed. Every morning, Daniel ran to the secret garden. The small sprouts had grown into flowers, bushes, and tall green plants. The roses climbed higher on the walls, making them look alive. The daisies spread like a white carpet across the ground. Bright colors filled every corner. Yellow, red, pink, purple. Butterflies danced in the air. Bees buzzed happily from flower to flower. The garden was no longer quiet. It was full of life. Daniel sat on the old wooden bench, but now it didn't look lonely anymore. It looked like the heart of the garden. He smiled and whispered, "It's beautiful. It's alive again." One afternoon, Clara came to visit. When she saw the garden, her eyes filled with tears. "Daniel, you did this? It's magic." Daniel shook his head. "No, the garden only needed someone to care. That's all." Clara hugged him. The two of them sat together on the bench, listening to the wind, the birds, and the soft rustle of leaves. The secret garden was no longer forgotten. It was alive, and so was Daniel's heart. Thank you for listening to The Secret Garden on Learn English Zone. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with friends who are learning English. Leave us a comment with your favorite part of the story. We'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story. ...